1,000 years ago, the Dragon Clan was revered by magical beasts. Thus, the Dragon Clan was called magic gods by these creatures. These magic gods led the magical beasts to wreak havoc upon humanity, carrying immeasurable ambition. The Dragon Clan made humanity scream in despair, not only destroying but also seeking to plunge the world deep into darkness. Unable to endure this, humans rose together to face them, and exceptional individuals demonstrated the ability to control magical beasts. This group of people became known as beast tamers. Su Ruyan rode on the back of a lion, her face cold and stern, releasing a beam of light that destroyed the destructive magical beast. Someone reported that magical beasts had appeared in the northern sky, striking King Feng City. The large explosion caused by the defeated magical beasts falling required emergency rescue teams to handle the situation. Xiao Xingyu trembled as he reported that he was a student at Chuangnam High School, Class 1201. Before him, a giant dragon had crashed down, shaking the entire building. A streak of blood flew past his face, terrifying him as his eyes widened, his face drained of blood. Behind was a large pool of blood splattered from the magical beast. A mysterious voice echoed, causing him to panic. This chaos was just the beginning, an anonymous person using heart blood to form an alliance, summoning souls from the void. This person wanted him to follow Su Dim Liet Chong, using blood as an oath, words as talismans. Announcements confirmed that the magical beast had been killed. More importantly, everyone had survived. The announcements continued to confirm no casualties, but at that moment, his eyes looked different as he gazed ahead. It was Ruyan and her lion approaching. She apologized to him for bringing trouble. She handed him a postcard from King Long Academy as compensation. Holding the postcard, Xingyu couldn't speak before she turned away. Ruyan and the group of beast controllers departed, promising to meet again. Only then did he realize these people were beast tamers. Seeing her like that, he also longed to become a beast tamer. But unfortunately, he didn't even have a single coin to buy a beast, couldn't take the national exam, couldn't become a beast tamer, couldn't protect anyone. Xingyu looked confused when suddenly a dog ran up and wrapped itself around him. It was Hai Feng, looking so adorable. Quickly, it licked him to win his affection. It appeared mysteriously, making him suspect it had followed a dragon tamer, even thinking it might be a taming beast itself. He suddenly remembered reading in a book that dogs could be taming beasts. Its bloodline wasn't high and didn't require spiritual power. He thought he could raise it. Xingyu lifted the dog up happily, as it could become his taming beast, giving him the opportunity to become a beast tamer. But he only had 3 days left. Would that be enough time? Setting that aside, Xingyu spoke up, gently asking Hai Feng to behave and listen carefully. In a shopping district filled with stores, he had arrived in King Feng City and stopped at a taming beast shop. After thinking for a moment, he decided to give the dog to someone who could care for it. He worried that if it followed him, it would lose its future, and it ate very heartily. One meal depleted his entire week's worth of food. The shop owner wasn't very pleased, as early in the morning the young man had appeared in front of his shop. Xingyu expressed his wish to leave Hai Feng there, but the owner waved his hand, recognizing it as a low-level taming beast. Holding it in his arms, he muttered that the owner was truly fierce. Something suddenly appeared before his eyes that surprised him. An information panel revealed. It was a swift windhound, Class I white card, loyalty 59, low bloodline but containing hidden hellish bloodline of epic quality, with a hidden talent called Hell Transformation causing real armor-piercing damage, with a hidden evolution path including Diuji Fenglang. He thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. Looking at it again, it was still displayed there, even showing hidden evolution. The owner insisted harshly that this breed had no evolution, telling him to leave quickly. Xingyu was amazed to discover that only he could see the system panel. Suji approached arrogantly. Xingyu was recognized, and he taunted him, saying he had no taming beast for the national exam. He looked down at Hai Feng and mockingly smiled, asking if he had money to buy a taming beast now. As Xingyu turned to leave, he reminded him to mind his own business. Suji shook his head, clicking his tongue as he called out Xingyu's name. His tone contemptuous, he remarked that Li Na was right about him. He didn't want to enter the Beast Tamer Academy. He even laughed loudly, looking down on him, saying he couldn't even pass the exam. Xingyu was surprised that he mentioned Li Na. Suji sneered, asking if he still didn't know about his girlfriend. With a provocative expression, he revealed that Li Na was Xingyu's ex-girlfriend. Li Na ran over, asking where he had gone that she couldn't find him. He sarcastically replied that since he was an acquaintance of hers, he was just saying hello. She stammered Xingyu's name, then also mocked him. She told Suji that she hadn't had any relationship with Xingyu for a long time. In her mind, she thought about how she had been caught dating by him, and that with his inferior taming beast, he was truly stingy. Xingyu angrily shouted that when Lei Na was down, he had wholeheartedly helped her, and now she should just live with Suji, but not to forget that he was the one who dumped her. Seeing that he dared to retaliate, Suji became furious, yelling at him about how he spoke and threatening to crush him in the exam. She held him back, telling him not to touch Xingyu because he only had a useless taming beast. Xingyu refused to stoop to their level, thinking to himself, "Let's see who's better." 3 days later, at Tulum Square, the loudspeaker announced that the beast taming exam was about to begin, inviting candidates to enter the field. His steps were firm as the assessment officially began. The other candidates gossiped negatively, wondering why Xingyu had come to take the exam when he didn't even have a taming beast. It was true that Xingyu had only registered 3 days ago. No money, no taming beast, yet he registered for the exam. They continued to whisper that this was a major academy, and he was talentless to dare to try. His expression suddenly turned extremely hateful. Kainane sat with his leg crossed over the table. Xingyu approached to greet the teacher and inform him that he had come to take the exam. The teacher put down his hat and asked if he was Xingyu. He nodded, confirming he was Xingyu. The teacher checked his file and discovered that he was the only student from the Qingfeng district. A contemptuous voice rang out from behind. Suji mocked him for being clueless, explaining that in the past 5 years, only 8 students from Qingfeng had attempted to register for the 5 realms exam. He hurled heavy insults, threatening that none of them had passed. With a disrespectful attitude toward him, he promised that if Xingyu passed, he would kneel down and call him father. Unable to accept such insults, he became angry, his face flushing red with determination. He also told Suji to prepare his voice to call him father soon. Suji was caught off guard and shouted Xingyu's name in frustration. Xingyu didn't care much, ignoring the dirty words, and told the teacher he was ready for the exam. Kainane advised Xingyu that the academy's assessment was truly strict, and since he hadn't chosen a specialized adjustment field, if he failed, he wouldn't be able to participate in other academies. The outsiders looked down on him, believing he couldn't succeed, but he remained determined to pass the exam. Xingyu stepped into the first test evaluating spiritual power. He placed his hand on the golden orb glowing on the table, and everyone anxiously awaited the final result. His spiritual power score stopped at 316. Suji laughed as if he had found a diamond, criticizing him for lacking ability and being unable to enter the academy. The teacher shook his head, closed his eyes in disappointment, and invited the next person. Suddenly, everyone shouted that his spiritual power value was increasing. Astonished at the spiritual power value of 621, which was still rising rapidly, the orb continued to increase non-stop. It rose to 700, then instantly to 800. Everyone present turned pale, not believing their eyes and suspecting the machine was broken. Finally, the spiritual power number on the orb stopped at 1028, leaving the entire hall stunned. Even the teacher was surprised by his result. At that moment, Xingyu looked as cool as a god, while everyone around had their mouths open and eyes wide in awe. Teacher Kainane thoughtfully explained that his spiritual power value was directly related to the potential of the taming beast he could form a contract with in the future. Xingyu could form a contract with a taming beast because for every 100 points of spiritual power, one could form a contract, and he had 1028 points. In the future, Xingyu would possess at least a 10-star taming beast potential. The teacher was amazed because a 10-star taming beast was what many desired. Even decades ago, only a few people possessed them. Holding Xingyu's file, Kainane nodded, confirming he was truly a genius of the Dragon Nation. The teacher shared that a year ago, a girl named Deep Ngung Song had only 1030 points, and now he had 1028 points. He couldn't believe he could be so powerful. Everyone was admiring and convinced except for 2 people, Suji and Li Na, who continued to taunt Xingyu. He wanted him to continue to the second part, saying this was just the beginning, and Li Na was certain he couldn't pass this test. Kainane called loudly for Xingyu to prepare for the second test. A young man dressed in blue came to call the teacher. He whispered to him that earlier the spiritual power measuring device had an issue, and Xingyu's actual score was 1032. The teacher was shocked that his score was even 2 points higher than Ngung Song's. Regarding the machine error, the teacher asked him not to reveal it outside, and he agreed to follow the teacher's order. In the hall, teacher Kainane and Xingyu stood facing each other. The teacher announced that the second round of testing was to evaluate the quality of his taming beast. The teacher's voice echoed, inviting candidate Xingyu to summon his taming beast. He smiled confidently, placing his hand on his shoulder, and a star symbol appeared on the back of his hand. Xingyu called out in a strong voice, summoning Hai Feng. It was time for it to demonstrate its power to help Xingyu enter the academy and have the opportunity to become a beast tamer. On the summoning field, Xingyu confidently reminded Haifeng that it was time to enter the battle. It immediately activated its latent power, with a brilliant spiritual energy surrounding it. Everyone around was shocked witnessing the miracle happening. As the light from the formation faded, a pair of soft pink dog ears appeared, accompanied by its sleepy sound. People saw that it was just a swift windhound and began criticizing it as the worst type of taming beast with a terrible bloodline, and that no one would bother forming a contract with it. Seeing Haifeng looking so foolish, Kai Nian couldn't help feeling helpless, feeling that the quality of Xingyu's taming beast's bloodline was too poor, which would limit his future development potential. The teacher, with an unpleasant expression, struggled to tell him how unfortunate it was to summon such a taming beast. But before the teacher could finish, everyone quickly noticed something unusual. This didn't seem to be an ordinary swift windhound. Suddenly, its fur took on a strange black color, and its innocent eyes turned bright red. Haifeng had evolved to a higher level in just moments, amazing everyone since everyone knew that swift windhounds didn't have an evolution path. Kai Nian used a scanner to check the data and discovered it was a Hell Swift Windhound, currently at level 1, carrying epic Hell bloodline, possessing the talent of Hellfire, with fire and wind attributes, along with locking and penetration skills. The evolution path was undetermined, which surprised the teacher as it could evolve to the second stage. Now Kai Nian's eyes looked at Xingyu with some expectation. Seeing his confident smile, the teacher understood that he was truly a talented kid. Standing in the summoning field, the teacher announced that Xingyu had passed the assessment, welcoming him to Xinglong Academy. At that moment, Su Zi and Li Na secretly left, knowing they needed to sneak away quickly. Before they got far, Xingyu's mocking voice rang out, asking why he was leaving without saying goodbye to father. Su Zi froze in fear. Provoked, his face turned pale as he arrogantly criticized Xingyu not to be proud, saying if he didn't call him, what could Xingyu do? Xingyu didn't say much, just silently called Haifeng. Su Zi turned his head doubtfully to look, and then it used just one foot to pin him to the ground. Xingyu recalled his challenge, saying he would call him father when he passed the exam, and calmly asked if he could call him now. Su Zi angrily trembled, and although unwilling, he gritted his teeth and called him father. Having heard what he wanted to hear, Xingyu let him go, coldly walking away, not forgetting to tell him to get lost, that he didn't have a son like him. Li Na changed her attitude, eagerly suggesting they reunite, claiming she had deeply loved him for the past 2 years. But for someone who looked down on others like her, Xingyu had no feelings left and resolutely walked away, not wanting to return to the old path. Seeing this, Li Na collapsed, kneeling on the ground, begging him to believe her, saying she knew she was wrong. Meanwhile, he strolled down the road, taking out his phone, eager to tell his sister that he had been accepted into Xinglong Academy. As soon as the call connected, Xingyu happily called out to his sister, but before he could finish, a frightened voice echoed, "Xiao Yu." Following that was a loud noise transmitted through the phone, and then only the sound of the call being disconnected. He frowned, sensing that something unfortunate had happened, and involuntarily shouted out for his sister. At the same time, at the farmer's market on the outskirts of Qingfeng City, people saw magical beasts attacking and fled in panic, shouting to each other that magical beasts were invading, asking if anyone had seen their children. A little girl was now frightened, sobbing in Ruoxu's arms. She protected the little girl, gently reassuring her not to be afraid anymore. But Ruoxu didn't know that she had been targeted by the magical beast. She sensed something unusual and looked up. The magical beast didn't give her time to react, raising its weapon, preparing to strike down. Xingyu rushed toward the outskirts of Qingfeng City without regard for danger, his heart filled with fear about what might be happening. He anxiously searched for Ruoxu among the fleeing crowd, not knowing where she was. On the other side, the scorpion beast monster raised its pincers. Xingyu and Haifeng eagerly rushed forward, calling out sister. Suddenly, he noticed something unusual. At that moment, the system panel appeared, offering Xingyu the option to use Haifeng's Hell Erosion and Hell Entanglement skills. Without much thought, he clicked yes, and Xingyu decisively commanded Haifeng to deploy Hell Entanglement and Hell Erosion techniques. Seeing it still looking dazed and indifferent, he was surprised that it showed no reaction. Meanwhile, the monster quickly withdrew its tail from the ground and rocks. Then it flung its tail toward Ruoxu, who could only scream for it to stop. Xingyu recalled Yuran's actions that had terrified him earlier. She had made her taming beast unleash tremendous power that blew everything away. If he remembered correctly, people from Qinglong Academy had chanted an incantation, Sudim Liat Chong. Xingyu halted his steps, immediately deciding to try it himself. He began reciting a series of chaotic incantations: primordial chaos, heaven and earth not yet defined, I use blood to form alliance, summon spirit beast from the void. After reciting just a portion, Hai Feng had already begun to grow larger, transforming into a hell-swift wind-hound. It entered battle mode and rushed forward. Xingyu continued reciting the rest of the incantation. I use blood as oath, words as talismans. Hear my command, go. As soon as he finished, Hai Feng successfully condensed an energy ball in its mouth. Immediately after, it released a giant energy ball, unleashing hell erosion to attack the magical beast. Seeing the magical beast fall before his eyes, he was bewildered, unable to believe Hai Feng had killed it, and equally amazed to learn this was the power of a beast tamer. Xingyu suddenly remembered the main point. Ruoxu was near the monster. He rushed over to ask if she was injured. Seeing that Ruoxu was fine, Xingyu felt relieved, only apologizing for arriving late, but thankful she was unharmed. Seeing him appear here, Ruoxu was puzzled about how he had come to be there. Xingyu joyfully grabbed her hand, sharing the good news that he had been accepted to King Long Academy and become a beast tamer. Meanwhile, Hai Feng had returned to its original playful form and pounced toward him. It made Xingyu fall sitting on the ground. He pushed away the excited Hai Feng and eagerly introduced it as the taming beast he had formed a contract with. Dug Feng Lang named Hai Feng. He happily allowed it to play around full of energy. People who hadn't heard anything came out, confused, shouting to each other that the monster was dead, telling everyone to look. Xingyu stood up, serious and proud, immediately confirming this was true. Ruoxu, confused, added that it must be so. The little girl's mother anxiously ran to embrace her daughter, telling her to come quickly, not forgetting to thank the two and asking if they were beast tamers. Seeing her mother approach, the little girl sobbed, calling Mom. Finding a stable point of support, she immediately burst into tears, releasing all her fear, continuously calling Mom. Where were you? Xingyu and his sister went to the magical beast, wanting to confirm a few things. At the beast's wound, a stone appeared that was continuously absorbing the surrounding magical energy. The system displayed information about this magical beast core, classified as primary level, obtainable after killing magical beasts. This core contained poison that could increase the poisonous attack attribute of a taming beast, adding 5 attack points and 10 experience points. He was surprised to learn this was a magical beast. Xingyu carefully examined the core, somewhat disappointed that it was only a primary level core with poison attributes. He decisively tossed it to Hai Feng, who jumped up to catch the core in its mouth. To him, even something small was still meat, and it could help Hai Feng with its evolution. After finishing, Xingyu happily returned to reassure everyone that the magical beast was dead. People joyfully surrounded him, continuously praising him. Great, we all survived. You are truly our hero. The little girl whom Ruoxu had protected also came over, confidently expressing her wish to become a beast tamer like him. Xingyu patted her head, planting another seed of dreams, saying he believed she would definitely become a talented beast tamer. Time passed, the dark night fell, and the bright moon hung high. Xingyu ignored the world, falling into a deep sleep. He didn't know that his sister had been standing beside him, observing him for some time. Ruoxu remained silent without saying a word. Suddenly, her eyes noticed something. He turned, revealing his sturdy back, on which appeared traces of dragon patterns. It was the symbol of an imposing dragon king left behind. After her inspection, Ruoxu went to the dining room to report the news to someone on the other end, saying that the forbidden dragon incantation was still there and that the Dragon King's essence seal showed no signs of loosening. Then she told that person about her suspicion. Why could Xingyu still form contracts with taming beasts? This wasn't scientific at all, but the person on the other end coldly suggested it was the arrangement of fate and instructed Ruoxu to continue monitoring. She seriously agreed to keep an eye on him. At the train station of Qingfeng City, Xingyu and Qin Ruoxu carried their luggage, standing before many relatives who were watching them as the train slowly approached and stopped at their carriage. The uncle with the slicked back hair enthusiastically handed Xingyu a basket of duck eggs, urging him to take it quickly, while the aunt beside him, with an equally excited face, gave him a cloth bundle containing money, several hundred yuan collected from relatives, repeatedly urging him to take it. Xingyu and Qin Ruoxu turned to look at the train and then back at everyone. Xingyu smiled brightly, waving goodbye and promising to visit during the next holiday. Beside him, Qin Ruoxu also smiled radiantly, looking at everyone with eyes full of attachment. They quickly boarded the train. Xingyu gallantly offered Qin Ruoxu the seat first, then sat down beside her. Before they could settle in, the train's announcement system suddenly issued a warning that magical beasts had appeared on the track ahead and there would be strong vibrations, startling Xingyu and Qin Ruoxi. After a tense period, the next announcement brought the good news that the train had safely passed the dangerous section, and the train continued to speed smoothly along the tracks. Xingyu sighed with relief, feeling lighter that the train had safely passed the dangerous section. They were about to reach Longyin City. Qin Ruoxi was equally radiant, instructing him to study diligently when he got to school. However, unexpectedly, another violent shake occurred, causing everyone on the train to panic and scream in fear. This time, the announcement delivered bad news that three-eyed beasts were gathering ahead, giant three-eyed apes moving back and forth, only reminding everyone to stay safe and protect their lives and property. Xingyu's face immediately turned serious, his eyebrows furrowed, his eyes flashing with vigilance, while other passengers paled with fear, panicking and shouting, expressing doubt because the previous announcement had clearly stated that the dangerous section had been passed. When the magical beast actually stepped onto the roof of the train carriage, causing it to crack, the panic intensified. Screams echoed in the confined space. No one knew what to do. The magical beast was exactly as described, a giant three-eyed ape roaring, one hand gripping the train's roof, its eyes blazing red as if to burn everything, both howling and pounding, causing the roof to break into pieces. A passenger below screamed in terror, warning everyone of its appearance. Amid this scene, Xingyu remained calm, instructing Qin Ruoxi to hide and not come out, confusing her as she didn't understand what he planned to do. But Xingyu didn't answer, silently turning to lead despite Qin Ruoxi's urgent cries. Xingyu stood right in front of the magical beast, much smaller than it, seemingly about to be crushed in an instant. Then a fox suddenly appeared, using its tail to strike the ape's face, stunning it. Xingyu's eyes widened in shock. At that moment, an angry voice rang out, scolding him for standing still as if waiting for a feast. The fox jumped to the feet of a girl. It was Yan Ran, the daughter of the Shangkong Guild's president. She stepped in front of Xingyu, both angry and commanding him to retreat immediately if he didn't want to die, leaving Xingyu stunned. Yan Ran twirled her weapon, creating sparks around her, while calling the fox Xiao Xiao. Immediately after, Yan Ran brought her weapon forward, shouting the name of her technique, Thunder Flash, helping Xiao Xiao receive power. At this point, it was no longer cute but became powerful, cold, rushing like lightning, its eyes blazing red. Xingyu stared in amazement, unable to hide his fear. The system panel appeared before Xingyu, recording all information about Xiao Xiao, titled Three-Tailed Thunder Fox, Level 3 Transcendent, carrying epic quality Thunder Fox bloodline, with thunder and wind attributes, along with an evolution path from 3 tails to 9 tails currently, as well as special evolution capability to Red Flame Lightning Fox. Skills were clearly recorded, including 3-tail thunder burst with sweeping ability, causing electrocution damage with paralysis and short stun effects, and the ultimate skill Thunder Flash, allowing rapid movement, evasion, and concentrated attacks on targets with lightning damage. Xingyu was both amazed and silently called the name of this beast in his heart. Upon seeing Yan Ran and her weapon, he simultaneously confirmed her identity as the daughter of Shangkong Guild's president, Qin Yao Ran. Meanwhile, the magical beast angrily beat its chest and roared. Yan Ran and Xiao Xiao immediately rushed to attack it. Someone in the crowd joyfully recognized Yan Ran as a beast tamer, certain they would be saved. Xingyu immediately felt full of hope, his eyes brightening, a relieved smile appearing on his lips, feeling that finally they could be at ease. As Yan Ran and Xiao Xiao confronted the magical beast, Xingyu immediately called loudly for everyone to leave the train carriage as soon as possible, but suddenly realized in his mind that there wouldn't be just one magical beast because 3-eyed giant apes lived in herds. In Xingyu's mind, fleeting images of these 3-eyed giant ape magical beasts appeared. Immediately after, he summoned Hai Feng to support Yan Ran together. While Yan Ran and Xiao Xiao had defeated one magical beast, Yan Ran was both angry and cursing, wondering why they encountered so many magical beasts while stabbing her weapon into it, causing the beast to cry out in pain. But then 2 other 3-eyed giant apes appeared behind her, charging with terrifying speed. Warning shouts rang out, but too late. Yan Ran turned around in surprise, facing the dangerous situation. Without hesitation, Xingyu took action, calling Hai Feng and unleashing Hell Entanglement. Hai Feng immediately changed appearance, becoming fierce, rushing extremely fast. Hai Feng used magic to create chains binding all 3 magical beasts tightly, making them unable to move, collapsing to the ground. Xingyu showed clear satisfaction, defiantly challenging them to try to escape. The 3 magical beasts were now tightly bound, lying motionless on the ground. Yan Ran was stunned to realize Xing Yu was also a beast tamer. Yan Ran, holding Xiao Xiao in her arms, approached him, smiling gratefully and sincerely thanking him for helping her, while Xing Yu politely suggested that in such a situation, any beast tamer would act as he did. But Xing Yu's expression immediately became serious. He called Yan Ran's name to inform her about something unusual he had just discovered about Xiao Xiao. Yan Ran curiously looked at him, while he carefully observed the system panel recording Xiao Xiao's current condition, showing it was in a state of distress and mental decline, analyzed as suffering from post-battle trauma syndrome. The treatment was to crush peaceful soul flowers, steep them in boiling water, add a thunder attribute catalyst, and finally dissolve the water attribute magical beast core into the mixture. After reading this, Xing Yu asked Yan Ran about Xiao Xiao's recent condition, specifically if it was often excited during battle, but afterward became lethargic, depressed, even tending to self-harm. When Yan Ran heard this, she was completely surprised, not understanding how he knew so clearly. Xing Yu just smiled and scratched his face lightly, explaining that he had seen this case in the Beast Tamer's Disease Guidebook, also mentioning that three-tailed thunder foxes were among the types of taming beasts most susceptible to this disease. But he couldn't tell the truth that he could see the information panel of taming beasts. Yan Ran was so excited that she hit Xing Yu's back hard, making him bend over in pain. She was grateful that he had told her about Xiao Xiao's condition and would take it for treatment as soon as they returned. Yan Ran smiled brightly, put her arm around Xing Yu's shoulder, and confidently declared that from now on he would be her junior, surprising Xing Yu and making him startled and alarmed. Meanwhile, Qin Ruoxui, watching from a distance as Yan Ran and Xing Yu were so close, stopped in her tracks. Qin Ruoxui's face darkened, her eyebrows furrowed tightly, her eyes clearly reflecting displeasure and dissatisfaction. Ruoxui laughed fakely, shielding Xing Yu behind her back, then apologized to Yan Ran and said he wasn't anyone's junior. She hugged his arm, smiling with eyes narrowed to slits as she introduced Xing Yu as her brother. Hearing this, Yan Ran frowned, her eyes becoming gloomy. Then Yan Ran pulled him toward herself, smiling challengingly, saying, "Is that so?" The two women continuously pulled Xing Yu back and forth between them, with Yan Ran bluntly declaring that from now on he was her brother. The two kept competing, asserting that he was their brother, while Xing Yu, stuck in the middle, felt like he was about to be torn apart. Meanwhile, at the central square of King Long Academy, students gathered in straight lines, with instructors on a high platform calling the new students of this term. The head of education at King Long Academy, Lin Shang, smiled brightly welcoming new students to King Long Academy. The person standing beside him was the vice president of King Long Academy, Dong Sheng. Lin Shang observed all the students and asked everyone to patiently wait for the principal to arrive. Xing Yu recalled how he had happily waved goodbye to Yan Ran after saying farewell to her. Finally, Xing Yu had enrolled in school, and he was looking forward to the principal's appearance. At that moment, the purple flame lion appeared, roaring with a resounding sound. People were excited, with someone shouting that it was Principal Su's purple flame lion. When they saw her appear, they joyfully shouted, "Purple flame lion, Ruyan, Principal Su." In the air, she majestically rode it, flying toward the high platform. When the purple flame lion spread its wings and approached Dong Sheng, Ruyan immediately descended to the ground, the sound of high heels ringing out. Lin Shang handed her the microphone, inviting the principal to say a few words to the new students. Seeing that it was Ruyan, Xing Yu's eyes widened in shock when he realized that the woman who had fought the Shadow Dragon earlier was the principal of King Long Academy. She took the microphone and seriously welcomed the students who had passed the exam to King Long Academy, but she wanted to remind them of something. Ruyan's expression darkened, wanting to warn everyone that whether they were from noble lineages or humble origins, at King Long Academy, they all had to follow her rules, especially Rule 8. Ruyan became strict, emphasizing this statement. Everyone was confused because they had never heard of Rule 8 before, not knowing what it was. Ruyan noticed their bewildered eyes and decisively announced that Rule 8 stated that among students, if there were conflicts, regardless of who was right or wrong, they would be resolved through a duel in the arena, and the loser must apologize to the winner. Xing Yu sensed the amused smiles of those behind him and questioned whether Rule 8 seemed unreasonable, but in reality it could prevent wealthy heirs from abusing their power and bullying the weak. Ordinary students could also seek justice through their fists. 2 hours later, from inside a classroom, scolding voices echoed outside. Shang Yu angrily pointed directly at him, surprised to find himself assigned to the same class as Xing Yu. He ignored Shang Yu's accusations, which claimed he was a monster with spiritual power value nearly equal to senior sister Dip Ngung Song. Seeing this, Kai Nian irritably ordered Sheng Yu to sit down to begin the lesson. He retracted his annoyed demeanor and had to return to his seat. Then Sheng Yu smiled and suggested that he wanted to be Xing Yu's junior and follow him. The teacher, writing his name on the board, cleared his throat upon hearing this, sternly ordering him to shut up. Next, Kai Nian turned around, introducing himself as the homeroom teacher of their class, hoping the students could study successfully at King Long Academy. The whole class opened the first chapter of the Taming Beast Manual. In this world, different types of taming beasts were categorized based on two aspects to determine their strength. First was the stage and level of the taming beast. Currently, the levels from small to large included the initial form from when summoned, the mature form when advancing to higher levels, followed by the complete form of a taming beast, then the transcendent form with powerful abilities within the taming beast, and finally reaching the Beast King form like Ru Yan's Purple Flame Lion. Second was the quality of the taming beast's bloodline, currently recorded from worst to best as follows. Taming beasts with higher bloodline quality would have the effect of suppressing taming beasts of lower status. Taming beasts carrying golden bloodlines could dominate taming beasts with other bloodlines. Additionally, the attributes of taming beasts would also generate phenomena of counteraction and suppression. The counteractive relationships of common taming beast attributes, metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, would be: wood counters earth, earth counters water, water counters fire, fire counters metal, metal counters wood, forming a cycle revolving around the 8 trigrams formation. Above these 5 basic attributes were other variant attributes, such as sand attribute, thunder attribute, and others listed one by one. All taming beasts follow the laws revolving around these attributes. Half the lecture had passed, with the board densely filled with characters. Kai Nian's lecture was like a lullaby, causing Xing Yu to drift into sleep. Hearing snoring, the teacher angrily threw a piece of chalk at his head, shouting for him to stand up immediately. Seeing Xing Yu still dreamy, Kai Nian regained his composure, sternly scolding him for daring to fall asleep in his class despite being so talented. "Tell me," he demanded, "where is the weakness of the celestial devil serpent?" Kai Nian frowned, grinding his teeth threateningly, saying if he couldn't answer, he should pack his things and leave immediately. Kai Nian seemed angry, slamming his hand on the table with a firm voice testing Xing Yu's knowledge. If he couldn't answer, he shouldn't come to class anymore. Did he know where the celestial devil serpent's weakness was? Immediately, Xing Yu envisioned it in his mind, saying that as far as he knew, its weakness was in the poison sac under its belly. The teacher asked about the habitat of the water crocodile beasts. He answered without thinking. They lived in Songgang Lake south of the city, plus at the cold waterfall pool at the foot of Kanlan Ice Pass. Xing Yu answered with extreme confidence, impressing his classmates. Seeing Xing Yu so confident, Kai Nian gave him a scenario. What if he encountered a sky fox in the wilderness? The teacher thought he wouldn't be able to answer, but once again he boldly replied that he would clench his ID card in his mouth, find some shade, and lie down. Everyone in the classroom was surprised and confused by his answer. Xing Yu calmly explained that he knew meeting such a beast meant certain death. It was a Beast King level, a variant species, and only those with 6-star rank or above could fight it. Someone at Xing Yu's level couldn't resist, so there was only one path: death. That's why he would follow the only path by holding his ID card in his mouth for easier body identification and finding a shady spot to lie down to avoid affecting the smell when decomposing. This answer was crude but practical, despite the difficulty he had thought of it. The teacher's face darkened at the answer plus the extremely unique explanation, which he had to respect. Kai Nian received a huge shock and gave him a perfect score, along with a question about how he could answer questions from chapters they hadn't covered yet. Xing Yu enthusiastically spread out 3 books, smiling brightly because he had already finished all the remaining content. His classmates were stunned, frozen for about 2 seconds. How could they survive with someone like him? They now saw him as a monstrous genius. Kai Nian asked the remaining students to study on their own while telling Xing Yu to come outside to talk. Thinking the teacher would scold him, he quickly apologized and assured it wouldn't happen again, but the teacher gently shook his head, saying it wasn't about that. He appreciated Xing Yu's quickness and diligence, not even halfway through the lesson, and he had already finished the theory for the entire term. Xing Yu scratched his head, stammering that he was well taught by Teacher Chen. It was all thanks to good teaching. Seeing him like this, the teacher didn't keep him studying with the class, but let Xing Yu take advanced courses instead. Kai Nian confidently gave Xing Yu the library card of King Long Academy. The teacher gave him the card so he could enter the library anytime and enjoy the benefit of borrowing books for free. The teacher patted his shoulder as if entrusting complete faith in him, saying he had nothing left to teach him. At the library of King Long Academy, Xingyu had chosen his favorite book. He excitedly sat right against the bookshelf, reading attentively. The 2 books placed below were small tips for the 2-star Beast Tamer certification exam, and what you need to know about taming beasts, revealing the fantasy genre he was reading, reflecting his desire to become a beast tamer. Wang Yan and several cool-looking students entered the library. He was arrogant because his father was the vice president of the school. He brought his rude and insolent attitude, cursing and driving all the male students out, but Xingyu ignored everything, still focusing on reading the book in his hand. Wang Yan smiled scammingly, asking the female students to stay and read with his gang of jerks. The female students trembled in fear, begging him to let them go. At this point, Xingyu, disturbed by the noise, slammed his book shut with an annoyed tone, complaining that they were being annoyingly loud. He threw the book straight at Wang Yan's head. He was upset, frustrated, and irritated because no one had dared to do that to him in this academy before. His despicable friend pointed straight at Xingyu's face, identifying him as the one who did it. Xingyu, like a hero saving beauties, did what no one else dared to do, standing before him, saying he should be ashamed for bullying female students. As usual with such people, he immediately asked who Xingyu was to act like a hero. A female student behind warned him to leave quickly because he was the vice president's son, and Xingyu couldn't touch him. Knowing this, Xingyu despised him even more, so he was just relying on his father being the vice president. No wonder he was so arrogant. Wang Yan proudly said it was good that he knew. In an instant, his tone changed, ordering Xingyu to kneel and apologize to him. Xingyu shouted loudly that he could dream on, and as soon as he finished speaking, he jumped up and kicked him hard in the face. His useless friend stood there in a panic, but didn't know what to do, while he lay curled up on the ground, grimacing. Despite the pain, he still struggled to raise his hand arrogantly, ridiculously not realizing who he was dealing with. Wang Yan still tried to crawl up, slamming his fist on the floor. His voice was very angry, but this miserable appearance was self-inflicted. He still threatened that he wouldn't let Xingyu leave the library. Wang Yan's current appearance looked truly miserable. He tried to tense up, holding his innocent private parts, trembling repeatedly. He still raised his voice arrogantly, wanting to show how noble he was. These footsteps undoubtedly belonged to the teachers. The teachers clearly sensed the truly arrogant tone. The appearance of Ms. Ru Yan and teacher Kai Name made him even more embarrassed. She didn't know since when the academy had been decided by him. This time, Wang Yan was done for. He frowned and sweated, not expecting Ru Yan to arrive so quickly. She strictly disciplined him on the spot, raising her voice. What Wang Yan had done, she already knew everything. If Xingyu and Wang Yan had a conflict, it would be handled according to Rule 8. Rule 8 required that students in conflict with each other would resolve it through a duel in the arena. Whoever won would receive an apology from the loser. At the arena square, Shangyu called for everyone to come to the arena to watch Xingyu and Wang Yan fight. He was worried about Xingyu's taming beast because Wang Yan's taming beast, Bing Yan, was a legendary creature. Xing Yan's eyes lit up with confidence of victory. A black-haired student nervously asked if Xingyu could beat him. Hearing this, Shangyu strongly objected, asserting that Xingyu was the champion. Up in the stands, teacher Kai Name couldn't help but worry, placing full trust in him and hoping he wouldn't disappoint the teacher. The referee invited the two of them to the field to prepare for the competition. His wrinkled, defiant face looked truly intimidating. He growled, threatening Xingyu, saying he would show him the consequences of dueling with him. In contrast, Xingyu remained calm, his face seemingly teasing him, casually waiting for an apology from him. His face reddened with anger, but he couldn't say anything more. The referee blew the whistle and announced loudly that the battle between the two had begun. He drew a symbol on the ground, shouting loudly for Bing Yan, needing it to appear. It quickly appeared with a frightening exterior, glowing red eyes, 2 fangs, and claws that were both long, sharp, and pointed. His eyes displayed an awakened state, glowing red, successfully summoning the taming beast Bing Yan. It had a fierce appearance with blue light surrounding it, walking arrogantly like its owner. Bing Yan was a legendary creature belonging to the initial card level 1 class, with ice wind attributes. It possessed the talent of mysterious ice movement, each attack causing freezing damage, reducing the opponent's movement speed and attack speed by 30%. Its main skill was Cold Sky Break, an extremely powerful ice ball that, after locking onto a target, would explode immediately, causing area damage. Currently, Bing Yan's loyalty was at level 72. Xingyu was a bit surprised because his taming beast belonged to the second tier. Unwilling to concede, he summoned Hai Feng to the field. It entered the field in a style much more unique than Bing Yan. Haifeng had now matured and grown steady. Instinctively, it howled once as a way of greeting its master, surrounded by black streaks sliding over a red light, looking very majestic and powerful. Shang Yu and the people down there had to exclaim that Haifeng was so cool, comparing its appearance with Bing Yan's. Bing Yan suffered a miserable defeat in comparison. The two contestants and the referee had entered the high-class viewing room. Looking closely, Ms. Ru Yan thought Haifeng looked very familiar. After pondering for a while, she remembered it resembled the evolved form of Swift Wind Hound. She wondered how Xing Yu could do this since this breed was famously useless without an evolution path. Wang Yan was dissatisfied, believing Xing Yu was deceiving everyone. He raised his voice, intending to defeat him. He ordered Bing Yan to use the techniques Ice Flame, Ice Rending Sky Claw. On his side, Xing Yu had Haifeng move in a zigzag pattern. Haifeng skillfully avoided these attacks from the opponent. The two taming beasts snarled at each other, then looked at each other with fierce eyes. This time, it was still Bing Yan taking the initiative to advance. It seemed Haifeng had been hit. It opened its mouth wide, appearing to be in great pain. Its spirit weakened. It began to tremble, but its legs still moved forward. Teacher Kai Nain realized that Xing Yu's Haifeng was a dual-attribute wind-fire taming beast, while Bing Yan was a dual-attribute ice wind. These two taming beasts had countering attributes, yet somehow couldn't avoid each other. Seeing a slight opportunity, Wang Yan seized the moment, quickly wanting to cripple his taming beast. This time, he launched Ice Flame along with his taming beast. He stood behind his taming beast, combining with it to create Cold Sky Break. It roared once, creating the process of freezing Haifeng. Frozen inside, Haifeng couldn't resist. It was immobilized, frozen, but it looked as if it still refused to submit, still carrying a majestic appearance through the ice layer as if turned to stone. Wang Yan looked at the frozen Haifeng and mocked Xing Yu. He gloated, cursing that his taming beast would freeze to death. Everyone in the stands focused their attention on him. Ru Yan also turned her gaze toward him, wondering how he would handle it. However, Xing Yu wasn't flustered at all and instead challenged Wang Yan. He performed a spell to save his taming beast from the ice block. Everyone witnessing this was surprised to see that Haifeng was no longer inside the ice block. Wang Yan figured out what spell he had used. Ru Yan also had to frown when she realized he was using a Hell Swift Windhound that also had a third attribute. Wang Yan suddenly looked around, searching for something, but he soon realized it was just a shadow, so he couldn't freeze Haifeng. Before he could reorient himself, Haifeng was behind him, charging forward with fierce energy. To protect its master, Bing Yan rushed forward, ramming Haifeng aside. Haifeng returned to stand behind Xing Yu, making the scene even more powerful. Xing Yu ordered Haifeng to advance and attack with the Silent Claw skill. Its breakthrough terrified Bing Yan. Wang Yan shouted from outside, calling for it to attack, but it remained motionless, unable to counter. At that moment, Ru Yan realized that the Silent Claw skill would cause Bing Yan to be silent for 3 seconds when hit. Xing Yu directly ordered the end of the battle. Receiving the command, Haifeng's eyes glowed red as it charged forward. It breathed fire and used the Hell Erosion skill to push back Bing Yan, causing it to collapse in pain to one side. The match referee announced victory belonged to Xing Yu. Everyone in the stands cheered his name in unison. Wang Yan now collapsed, not believing his eyes. Seeing him disappointedly sitting on the ground, Xing Yu approached to confirm that he had lost. Ru Yan reminded him of the rules from behind. She also advised him to give up these tricks. Wang Yan gritted his teeth in anger but couldn't do anything. Finally, he had to bow his head and apologize to Xing Yu. Ru Yan praised Xing Yu, saying he was the second person who made her look at him differently. The conversation afterward made Wang Yan leave in frustration, and he also vowed to himself that he would make Xing Yu pay. Ru Yan offered words of encouragement to Xing Yu for the upcoming competition. Those compliments made him shy as he thanked her, and he also inquired about who was the first student that made her look differently. Ru Yan introduced that young woman as Deep Suan Gung, someone with a spiritual power value of up to 10,000. He immediately recalled a conversation among some friends mentioning her during the entrance examination. Suddenly, Ru Yan presented a time ring and gave it to him, saying it was a reward for the winner of this competition. Xing Yu's mouth fell open in surprise when he saw the ring in her hand. He was amazed that he could have a space ring that could store all kinds of things. Xing Yu smiled helplessly. He could only respectfully obey and accept this gift. He seemed to like this ring quite a bit, accepting it while not forgetting to thank the principal. The scene changes to the front gate of King Long School, where Xing Yu is hurriedly returning home, worried that his sister has been waiting and getting anxious. A gentle breeze passed by him, making leaves fly all around. At a turn, suddenly a little girl crashed into Xingyu. He anxiously asked if Xingmeng was okay, and fortunately, she was just a bit dizzy, so she said she was fine. Xingyu knelt down, gently patting her head and advising the little sister to go home early. But unexpectedly, Xingmeng grabbed Xingyu tightly, her voice somewhat pitiful as she asked him to take her home. The peaceful afternoon of Xingyu's apartment complex was disrupted, with only Ruo Xu's voice scolding Xingyu for causing trouble just after they had moved here. Before Xingyu could understand what was happening, Ruo Xu lunged at him with physical action, scolding him for daring to deceive children and take them away to sell. He had a lump on his head from being hit, wrongfully crying out and hoping she would listen to his explanation. But at this point, Ruo Xu's anger had risen high, and she didn't want to hear him speak because the little girl's presence here was the clearest evidence. After a long while, the new house gradually became quiet again. Xingyu let his sister sit on the chair to calm down and listen to him explain everything from the beginning. According to him, Xingmeng was being bullied by her family because she had a fear of magical beasts and couldn't become a beast tamer, so she ran away from home. Xingyu, with very determined eyes, resolved to cure this condition for her. Xingmeng clutched Ruo Xu's skirt, crying and begging the two to take her in rather than return home. Ruo Xu's heart softened, and she agreed to let her stay. Ruo Xui opened her arms to embrace the little girl, comforting her, but she still seemed to have a worry in her heart. Her attitude was very firm, wanting him to remember that he could find anyone but not someone from the Deep family. The next morning, students gathered in lines in the courtyard of King Long Academy. In Xingyu's mind, he kept remembering his sister from yesterday, his eyebrows furrowed as he couldn't understand why she had said those words. From somewhere, Shangyu suddenly appeared. As soon as he arrived, he wondered what Xingyu was mentioning about the Deep family. Today, their teacher Chen had told them about battlefield positioning division, but he didn't understand and had to find Xingyu to ask. At this point, Xingyu only realized he had arrived and embarrassedly scratched his head. He quickly explained that on the battlefield, the focus was on team combination with different assignments and positions. There were 5 positions. The shooter position required taming beasts with long-range attack skills. The mage needed to be good at controlling over a large area. Defense needed to be sturdy and have health recovery to support teammates. The assassin position needed to know how to harvest and be flexible, usually entering battle last to take heads. And finally, support was responsible for amplifying effects for the team. Shangyu's face was covered in sweat because he realized too late, so he could only ask Xingyu to evaluate which position his taming beast was suitable for. Suddenly, teacher Kai Nian pointed at him, sternly reminding him not to have private conversations. He immediately obediently stood still, following the teacher's orders. The teacher was still as serious as ever, explaining the test rules to them. All would follow the order of student ID numbers, taking part in tests to determine their positions on the battlefield. The first participant was Tan Ho, whose taming beast was a large, solid black buffalo. The teachers determined his defense was high, so his position would be a tank. Shangyu's bee was also very prominent, with a blue body that could create a water system storm over a large area, so he would be in the mage position. Finally, Shangyu's name was called. Each of his steps was illuminated by sunlight, his aura not small at all. Kai Nian seriously reminded him about the attack power test to make sure he was ready. Xingyu was very confident as he began the test. Immediately, his Hai Fang was summoned. He commanded the Black Wind attack to shoot straight at the force meter, creating a not-so-large explosion. The force meter flickered for a moment, displaying critical hit X3. The result showed 6,371. The other students gaped in disbelief. It couldn't even achieve a single critical hit, yet he had achieved 3 times that. Kai Nian was amazed because compared to the usual critical hits of beginner taming beasts, which were under 1,500, his was 3 times 2,000. Xingyu was very confident that he could determine the assassin position for himself immediately without needing to continue testing. Just as he was speaking, the teacher interrupted, wanting him to continue. The teacher wanted to see where his limits were. Now it was time to test range. He hit perfectly, so perfectly that it made Shangyu want to take him as a shooter. Then came the defense test. Hai Fang perfectly blocked everything. Shangyu truly admired him when even the ice armor attack from Teacher Chen's taming beast could be resisted. When it came to the control test, it was also perfect, using Hell Entanglement to bind several trees. Shangyu changed his mind again, suggesting he move to the mage position. The final test was amplification testing. Kai Nian looked at the analysis panel showing that just being near Dayuji Feng Lang within a 10-meter range would increase desire by 30% and attack power with speed by 10%. Shang Yu at the side was extremely excited, eager to know which position the teacher would assign Xing Yu to, as he was too perfect in every aspect, so good that there was nothing left to say. After consideration, the teacher sternly revealed that there was one special position that no one had mentioned yet, which was extremely suitable for him. That position was the all-rounder. Shang Yu looked at Kai Nian in confusion, asking what an all-rounder was. Kai Nian seriously explained that if a beast tamer could control their taming beast to fight excellently in all positions from attack to defense and support, that person would be called an all-rounder. The teacher revealed that Xing Yu was the only all-rounder in their class. Shang Yu and other classmates all showed envy towards Xing Yu, everyone endlessly praising how talented he was. One student exclaimed, and the whole class unanimously agreed, causing Xing Yu to scratch his head in embarrassment. To prevent Xing Yu from becoming complacent, Kai Nian reminded him not to rejoice too early. The teacher continued that although all-rounders were rare, they weren't non-existent. There was still no data on this year's new students. Currently, they only knew that Xing Yu from their class was an all-rounder, but in previous years, the all-rounders of the second year were Deep Sumong Ngung and Han Thin Quan, while the all-rounders of the third year included Mo Dong, Tan Duong, and Lai Hin Thua. Therefore, Kai Nian reminded them that they must continue to strive. On the way home, Xing Yu and Hai Feng walked and chatted. Xing Yu told Hai Feng that after school, they would buy some supplements for taming beasts, preparing for the new student ranking competition. Xing Yu was talking to Hai Feng when suddenly, from a dark corner, 3 to 5 students appeared, blocking his path and threatening him ferociously. Xing Yu, with murderous eyes, asked who they were. The man in black cracked his knuckles, sneering and taunting that he didn't even know about their Black Tiger Guild, saying he was really asking for a beating. Wang Yan from behind pointed straight at Xing Yu, his tone full of contempt, telling President Lei not to waste words on him. He suggested breaking one of Xing Yu's legs to see if he would still be arrogant. President Lei and his gang, emanating murderous intent, nodded vigorously in agreement. Then they displayed ferocious looks, moving closer to Xing Yu, saying that if he dared to mess with Wang Yan, he was truly unfortunate. Xing Yu glanced at the badges on their clothes, then smirked, asking President Lei if everyone in their group was a 3-star or 4-star beast tamer, questioning if bullying a 1-star beast tamer like him wasn't too much. Wang Yan shouted angrily, saying he was relying on power to bully others, asking what Xing Yu could do about it even if it was too much. President Lei began summoning a magical beast, trying to appear calm as he told Wang Yan not to be hasty, saying he would handle him. At that moment, he summoned his beast tamer. A large tiger magical beast appeared with a fierce aura. Following President Lei's command, the demon tiger charged towards Xing Yu. He quickly summoned Hai Feng, and a fierce battle erupted. Hai Feng attacked relentlessly, each strike accurate and powerful, forcing President Lei's demon tiger to continuously retreat. President Lei couldn't help but be surprised because Wang Yan hadn't told him that Xing Yu's taming beast was so strong. He muttered to himself, thinking that Hai Feng was just a mature stage beast tamer. How could it be on par with his transcendent stage demon tiger? Seeing that his demon tiger couldn't gain the upper hand, he signaled to his gang to summon their beast tamers together to see how formidable a 1-star beast tamer like Xing Yu really was, or if his Black Tiger Guild's assembly of 3-star and 4-star tamers was more powerful. The magical beasts threatened and surrounded Xing Yu, seeming ready for a brutal battle. Just then, a familiar voice rang out, cutting through the tense atmosphere. It was Yan Ran. She stood with her hands on her hips, saying let's see if his Black Tiger Guild was powerful or if her Shang Kong Guild was a level higher. Yan Ran appeared with an unusually calm expression, standing in front of Xing Yu, which made him rejoice. The members of the Shang Kong Guild, with sharp eyes, stared intently at President Lei and his gang. President Lei and his minions all cowered in fear as they had been surrounded. President Lei thought that the Shang Kong Guild was the second-ranked beast tamer guild in Long Yin City. Even the top-ranked Feng Guild wouldn't dare to rashly conflict with the Shang Kong Guild. President Lei's face turned pale as he hurriedly changed his attitude, politely bowing his head and asking Yan Ran what wind had brought her here. Yan Ran put her arm around Xing Yu's shoulder, her cold eyes looking straight at President Lei, saying if she hadn't been passing by, who knows what he would have been doing to Xing Yu. President Lei was stunned, stammering as he asked Yan Ran if she wasn't the only child of President Tian. Since when did she have a brother? Yan Ran emphasized each word, reminding President Lei that Xing Yu was her adopted brother whom she acknowledged. If anyone bullied him, it meant confronting her, and also confronting her Shang Kong Guild. President Lei hurriedly clasped his hands together, stammering to Yan Ran that it was all a misunderstanding. President Lei pointed at Wang Yan, saying he had hired him to cause trouble with Xingyu. Wan Yan was so frightened that his face turned pale, his whole body trembling as he tried to defend himself to Yan Ran, saying he didn't intentionally confront Xingyu. Yan Ran coldly looked at President Lei, her voice devoid of emotion as she told him to know how to handle it himself. President Lei nodded, forcing a smile at Yan Ran. Then he turned to his gang, pointing directly at Wan Yan and ordering them to teach him a lesson for daring to bully Xingyu. The minions immediately rushed in, beating Wan Yan mercilessly. Wan Yan cried out in pain, only able to endure the beating. He helplessly said that he had hired them, so why were they treating him like this? Yan Ran took Xingyu to the Shang Kong Guild. Yan Ran, concerned, asked Xingyu in a gentle voice why he had encountered those people. Xingyu explained that he had gone out to buy nutritional medicine for his taming beast, but had been unlucky. Yan Ran smiled, flicking her hand and saying, "You want to buy nutritional medicine for your taming beast? Come to me, my Shang Kong Guild makes these things." Yan Ran smiled generously, telling Xingyu that in the future, if he wanted to buy nutritional medicine, just tell her, and she would provide it for free. Xingyu was also surprised by Yan Ran's generosity. Then Yan Ran led Xingyu around a large area in the guild. Yan Ran said this was the training base of the Shang Kong Guild, equipped with the most advanced machinery and tools that could help taming beasts improve learning efficiency and combat skills. She continued to introduce the area as the entertainment zone where beast tamers returning from missions could rest, with many recreational items like golf and saunas. Yan Ran pointed upward, saying that was the meeting room on the highest floor of the building. Usually when they had important missions, they would meet there to plan specific tactical strategies. Yan Ran led Xingyu to another area, saying it was their medical zone, with advanced medical equipment and a full stock of medicinal herbs, most importantly. Then she turned to Xingyu, saying the beast tamer doctors at her place all had super high medical qualifications and could provide the most advanced technical services for injured taming beasts. Xingyu thought for a moment, then eagerly asked Yan Ran if he could join the Shang Kong Guild as her beast tamer doctor. Yan Ran was still hesitating. Suddenly, a voice interrupted in opposition. It was Liu Xui, the vice president of the Shang Kong Guild. She emphasized to Xingyu, not even addressing who he was or why he was here, that with his age and experience, being a beast tamer doctor for their guild was a joke that wasn't funny at all. Yan Ran smiled, explaining to Liu Xui that Xingyu was the one who helped her subdue the giant three-eyed ape on the train that she had mentioned to Liu Xui before, and that he was also the adopted brother she had accepted. Just then, a staff member ran in frantically, telling Liu Xui that suddenly several seriously injured taming beasts had arrived at the medical center. He panicked, saying they didn't have enough people and asking what to do now. Liu Xui told him not to panic, to mobilize people from other branches, then turned to Yan Ran, telling her to request support from other guilds. The staff member, seeing the urgent situation, hurriedly said there wasn't enough time. Those taming beasts were bleeding heavily and couldn't hold on much longer. Seeing this, Xingyu cut in, saying, "Let me handle it. Time waits for no one." At the Shang Kong Guild, in the spacious hallway, two doctors were urgently pushing an emergency bed. On it was a JD Motion fierce hound from operating table number 3, suffering from severe bleeding. Blood flowed nonstop, making the situation so critical that they needed to get blood reserves immediately. The curly-haired young man was so worried that he pushed the bed while frantically shouting, hoping people would clear the way so they could quickly take the taming beast for emergency treatment. The curly-haired man shouted loudly, hoping some doctor would be able to save his taming beast. Behind him were Xingyu, Yan Ran, and Liu Xui, along with two doctors hurrying to keep up. The doctors rushed over, extremely flustered because the JD Motion fierce hound had lost so much blood that hemostatic clips had no effect. Even medicinal preparations couldn't stop the bleeding. Meanwhile, Xingyu stood still, as if observing something, while the doctors frantically tried to stop the bleeding. Xingyu calmly stood behind, his eyes attentively observing the situation and frankly stating that conventional hemostasis methods wouldn't work. Xingyu's face darkened, and he frowned while looking at something, his eyes becoming serious. He looked at the information panel about the taming beast condition and discovered it was a transcendent stage level 3, with a loyalty of 92, bloodline of elite quality. The wound was caused by a Beast King stage magical beast, the Poison Sting Wind King. The surface had a large tear with green slime that was hindering the regeneration process, preventing the wound from healing. After understanding the situation, Xingyu immediately shifted his gaze to the wound oozing green slime on the taming beast. He determined that the cause was a special toxin from the Poison Sting King, which prevented wounds from closing and kept leaking fluid endlessly. Xingyu then said he had a way to stop the bleeding but wasn't sure if the curly-haired man would trust him. However, the other party now cared about nothing other than saving his taming beast's life. Knowing this, Xingyu didn't beat around the bush anymore and quickly instructed how to make the medicine. It included a root of celestial spirit grass and death chrysanthemum flowers ground together into 20 grams of preventive medicine, then added to a transcendent stage poison attribute magical beast core, and boiled for 5 minutes. A doctor expressed doubt, suggesting that he was trying to worsen the wound because these medicinal ingredients all had high toxicity. But Xingyu remained firmly resolute, arguing that if they missed this moment, the JD Motion fierce hound would certainly die. His attitude became stern, impatiently demanding that the doctors immediately apply the medicine as he instructed. The curly-haired man seemed almost insane, desperately shouting for the doctors to follow his instructions. The 2 doctors had no other choice and ran like the wind to prepare the medicine. After 5 minutes, when the medicine was ready, the doctor, breathing heavily, handed Xingyu the freshly prepared medicine bottle. Xingyu carefully put on gloves, completely serious. Xingyu's face was filled with concentration as he gently opened the medicine bottle. Then, bit by bit, he applied the medicine to the area of the wound that was oozing green slime. Immediately, the JD Motion fierce hound reacted violently, jumping up and roaring in pain, surprising both Xingyu and the curly-haired man. But a miracle happened as its blood gradually stopped flowing, and the wound slowly closed, making everyone around extremely happy. The taming beast was then given first aid and bandaged. The curly-haired man was so moved that he embraced the JD Motion fierce hound and sobbed, while Xingyu smiled brightly, clasped his hands in front of his chest, walked over to Liu Xui and Yan Ran, and smugly asked if his demonstration was enough to satisfy Liu Xui. Liu Xui happily extended her hand and praised Xingyu profusely. She admitted that she had been too hasty in doubting him earlier and invited him to join the Shangkong Guild as a special pharmacist. Xingyu didn't hesitate and happily took Liu Xu's hand, clearly showing his agreement. The scene shifts to Qin Ruyan, who was angrily standing with her hands on her hips, irritably asking Xingyu if he really came home late just because he signed a special pharmacist contract with people from the Shangkong Guild. Facing her, Xingyu appeared cautious but still nodded in admission. This made Qin Ruyan even angrier. She turned her back, crossed her arms, and sulked, complaining that now that Xingyu had an adoptive sister, he had forgotten his biological sister. Xingyu immediately frantically denied this, but at this moment Shimeng appeared, hugging a pillow as she walked over, innocently asking what a special pharmacist was and if it was edible. This made Xingyu laugh gently. He joked that it was indeed so, adding that after becoming a special pharmacist, he would get a raise. Xingyu raised his hand high in joy, announcing that he would treat everyone to a feast over the weekend, and Shimeng enthusiastically raised both hands in support of that idea. Meanwhile, in Wang Yan's room, he was lying in bed with a broken leg, which was elevated. Wang Yan angrily shouted Xingyu's name, insisting that he wouldn't easily let this matter go. Dongsheng stood beside him, arms crossed, looking bored and coldly scolding Wang Yan as useless. This scolding made Wang Yan lie on the bed with tears streaming down his face, aggrieved as he begged his father to help him. Dongsheng glanced at his son with disappointed eyes, blaming him for being his son yet losing to a nobody from a small city, bringing shame to the entire family. Wang Yan wiped his tears, whimpering as he explained that he had no idea Xingyu had managed to form a contract with a taming beast with 3 attributes. Wang Yan then angrily revealed that Xingyu was also backed by the Shangkong Guild, and now he feared he had no chance to turn the tables. After hearing his son's account, Dongsheng momentarily felt that their family couldn't directly confront Xingyu. But right after, he displayed a sinister smile, gently pushed up his glasses, and proposed a dark plan, suggesting that if Xingyu happened to encounter trouble at the Yin Nan Mountain trial and died at the hands of magical beasts, they couldn't be held responsible. At Yin Nan Mountain, thick fog covered the entire forest. In the trial area, many candidates were gathering. Dongsheng, Kai Nian, and Ru Yan stood before them. Dongsheng announced that today was the day the new students would officially participate in the trial at Yin Nan Mountain. Kai Nian continued, explaining that the entire trial process would be live-streamed on social media platforms. Dongsheng held the microphone, explaining clearly that the bracelet the candidates were wearing could monitor the number of magical beasts defeated along with live footage of the battles, causing all candidates to look down at their bracelets and observe them carefully. Dongsheng continued to explain the scoring system. If a candidate hunted from 1 to 10 magical beasts, they would receive a C grade. From 11 to 30 beasts would earn a B grade. From 31 to 50 beasts would earn an A grade. From 51 to 80 beasts would earn an S grade, and exceeding 80 beasts would earn an S+ grade. Ru Yan glanced at Dongsheng, suggesting that before the trial began, they should announce the list of all-rounders among this year's new students. This caused some people below to buzz, saying they had heard that the top performer in last year's trial was Deep Ngung Song. Not keeping everyone waiting long, Dong Sheng confirmed that this batch had a total of 3 people considered all-rounders. Dong Sheng began to announce the identity of the first person, Yang Shuo, a student from Class 1, who was also the son of the Modong family. The second person was Tang Tang, also from Class 1 and the daughter of the Modong family, causing those around to be unable to hide their surprise that Class 1 had 2 all-rounders. The last person named was Xing Yu from Class 3. He was pensively stroking his chin, thinking about the name Modong family. According to Xing Yu's understanding, the Dragon Nation had 4 major beast tamer families: the Deep family, the Lei family, the Modong family, and the Thimong Quan family, making him wonder if it was really that Modong family. At the broadcasting station of King Long Academy, all the judges had gathered. Yang X2 held the microphone, faced the screen, and smiled to greet the audience watching the live stream, introducing himself as the MC hosting this trial. Ru Yan glanced at Dong Sheng meaningfully, asking how many magical beasts he thought Xing Yu would hunt. Dong Sheng maintained an expressionless face, suggesting that 50 would be the maximum for Xing Yu. Kai Nian frowned thoughtfully, asserting that with such talent, Xing Yu should reach at least 80 beasts. Ru Yan laughed, thinking both were wrong, and confidently stated that Xing Yu would break Dip Ngung Song's record. Yang Su announced that the candidates would enter the field in the arranged order. Immediately, the candidates quickly took their positions ready. Without wasting time, Yang Su loudly declared that the trial had officially begun. Less than 30 minutes later, Yang Su announced that Wan Lin from Class 2 had successfully defeated a short-tailed bear, raising his total number of magical beasts defeated to 10. Ru Yan sat with her chin in her hand, watching with a somewhat unhappy expression. Right after, Yang Su continued to announce that Sun Tian Hao from Class 5 had reached more than 20 magical beasts. His taming beast had successfully crushed a magical beast, causing it to fall to the ground. Not keeping the audience waiting long, Yang Su announced that in a short period, Yang Shuo had hunted 43 magical beasts, causing other viewers to praise him generously, and some even expressed their desire to marry him. Yang Shuo was sitting behind a tree, and his taming beast, which had the form of a white eagle, was handling a magical beast shaped like a snake. Yang Su excitedly pointed to the screen where Yang Shuo's taming beast, the white maned lion vulture, was displayed, the only super energy system taming beast in this trial. As he spoke, he couldn't hide his excitement when describing its space-piercing ability, not only being able to shorten the distance to the target in an instant, but also having each attack carry a penetrating effect. Yang Su continued to shift to the magical beast that Yang Shu was facing. Although the silver wind snake was famous for its superior recovery ability, it was still fiercely bitten on the tail by the white maned lion vulture, causing it to roar in pain. He continued to explain that with its power suppressed by the white maned lion vulture's ability, the fate of that magical beast became so miserable it was unbearable to watch. Meanwhile, Yang Shu's taming beast unhesitatingly tore the magical beast's body in half, but he quickly stopped it, asking it not to torture the magical beast anymore. After that, he knelt on one knee beside the magical beast's corpse, gently placed his hand on it, and instructed that just taking out the core was enough. The rankings immediately changed. Yang Shu rose to second place with 49 magical beasts, while Xing Yu dropped to third place with 48, and the top position belonged to Tang Tang with 50. Yang Tabtu shifted focus to Tang Tang, who was standing on a cliff and fighting a magical beast that had the form of a lion. Her taming beast was a dinosaur skeleton flying in the sky. Yang Su immediately introduced Tang Tang's taming beast as the bone-winged sea beast, possessing legendary bloodline and being the only ghost system taming beast in this trial. As the taming beast flew forward, it emitted a brilliant purple light. Next, he introduced the magical beast that Tang Tang was facing, the bloodthirsty crazy lion, a powerful lion roaring fiercely. This was an initial stage level 2 taming beast, carrying epic bloodline. Its physical attack ability came with a critical hit effect 5 times greater, with superior strength, but it encountered the bone-winged sea beast, and Yang Su believed today would be the day it lost its life. Yang Su affirmed that if Tang Tang could kill the bloodthirsty crazy lion, her count of magical beasts would reach 51. Her image was immediately projected on the screen, causing the audience to immediately offer words of praise and surprise when they learned that her talent was even stronger than her brother Yang Shu's. Yang Shu looked at the ranking on the monitoring bracelet, thinking that this time his sister would take first place. But his eyes suddenly widened in shock when he saw someone had surged ahead to take the lead. going back to 1 minute before, when the bloodthirsty crazy lion was charging toward the bone-winged sea beast on the cliff. Tang Tang's taming beast had spewed a purple force aimed at finishing off the magical beast. Tang Tang smiled, thinking she had taken down another one. Then suddenly, Xing Yu's voice rang out, causing her to widen her eyes in surprise, because at that moment, Xing Yu was ordering Hai Feng to take action and defeat the magical beast. Therefore, the bloodthirsty crazy lion was not killed by Tang Tang's taming beast, but was ambushed by Hai Feng, who seized the prey's life. Xing Yu had won in an instant, leaving Tang Tang no chance to react. Somewhere on Yin Nan Mountain, Xing Yu rode on Hai Feng, laughing and thanking Tang Tang for giving him this beast. Tang Tang didn't say anything, but inside she really wanted to curse. On this side, Yang So pointed at the ranking board and emphasized that Xing Yu had stolen Tang Tang's prey and jumped to the top position. At this moment, three-eyed magic ants suddenly appeared on Yin Nan Mountain. The screen showed Xing Yu's serious face as Yang So continued hosting for the audience. On Tang Tang's side, she was also ready for battle, not knowing who would finally kill that ant. Xing Yu ordered Hai Feng to use Hell Entanglement to burn the magic ant, but its shell was very hard. However, Hai Feng's fire wasn't ordinary and could still damage the magic ant. Then he ordered to harvest. Hai Feng stood to one side, continuously spewing fire at the magic ant. Tang Tang also began to join the battle, deliberately executing a move to cut off Hai Feng's final attack. Finally, she ended the battle with Spirit Ice Fire and successfully killed the three-eyed magic ant. A crystal core appeared on the magic ant's blood. Tang Tang quickly picked it up, then turned her head to glare at Xing Yu, who was accusing her of being vindictive. On the program side, Yang So announced to the audience that the current scores of the two were tied, so they couldn't determine who was ahead yet. With less than an hour left until the end of the trial, it was unclear who would grab the top spot. By the stream, Xing Yu and Hai Feng were stalking a magical beast, but before they could make a move, the magical beast was sliced away with one strike. When he turned around, he saw that it was Tang Tang who had just actively stolen his prey. The two simultaneously looked at the prey. This was the second time Xing Yu had his prey stolen by Tang Tang. The rankings changed, with Tang Tang taking first place thanks to stealing prey. Xing Yu was helpless, only because he had actively stolen from others first and was now being continuously revenged upon. Live comments exploded when they saw Tang Tang's angry face. Finally, Xing Yu warned her to be careful because he wouldn't yield anymore, suggesting that earlier he hadn't used his full strength. After that, he mounted Hai Feng, but time was running out, and it was unclear if he could counterattack in time. Tang Tang pursued Xing Yu, and in a short time, the two had killed many magical beasts. It was still a race between the two to steal and kill magical beasts. Hai Feng quickly killed a magical beast this time. For flying magical beasts, Tang Tang was confident that Xing Yu was no match for her. Unexpectedly, Xing Yu really had a way to kill flying magical beasts. Therefore, Tang Tang finally became so angry that she had to curse at him. Yet he still teased her, saying she couldn't beat him. The program host also predicted that Xing Yu would likely take first place. Tang Tang kept repeating the word scoundrel to curse her opponent. Xing Yu was stunned, suspecting she only knew these two words. While the two were busy interacting, a pair of eyes was watching from behind a rock. Hai Feng quickly discovered this and moved closer. The magical beast had to break the rock and charge forward. It turned out to be a Yan Shai. Xing Yu climbed onto Hai Feng's back. He turned, ready to face the charging Yan Shai. Suddenly, he opened his eyes wide in shock because both he and Hai Feng were thrown off the cliff. Tang Tang called out to him in worry. She went to the cliff and saw that Xing Yu had fortunately caught onto a tree branch, along with Hai Feng. Her taming beast tried to attack the Yan Shi to distract it, while Tang Tang reached out to save him. In this critical situation, Wang Yan suddenly appeared. At this moment, the branch Xing Yu was holding showed signs of breaking. Tang Tang frantically reached out, calling to him. At the broadcast station, Kai Nian slammed the table and stood up. The teacher was worried and hurriedly asked the principal for permission to go save Xing Yu, but was comforted by the principal to stay calm. After that, both of them left the room, with Kai Nian even calling security for emergency rescue. Dong Sheng smiled contemptuously because he was the mastermind behind the plot to harm Xing Yu. At the foot of Yin Nan Mountain, beside a small stream, Xing Yu finally woke up, surprised that he was still alive. His memory flashed back to Wang Yan hiding in the bushes near the cliff. He angrily vowed to take revenge on him. Then Xing Yu anxiously looked at Hai Feng lying motionless. It had sacrificed itself as a cushion for him to fall on. Xing Yu quickly took out a medicine bottle and carefully poured nutritional medicine into Hai Feng's mouth. The sky darkened, accompanied by heavy rain. Xingyu looked up at the pouring sky and decided to recall Haifeng and find shelter from the rain. Finally, he found a cave. Xingyu asked himself in frustration when the rain would stop. Although in danger, he still had the strength to worry about his sister. And Tang Tang too. He recalled the image of her reaching out to save him. Suddenly, a foot stepped on a branch, creating a sound. Xingyu keenly discovered that besides himself, there was someone else here. Then an arm reached out and suddenly grabbed his neck. Dalu was choking Xingyu while threatening to kill him because he had clearly seen her face. Xingyu gritted his teeth, wanting to see all the information about his opponent. This was the nine-tailed spirit fox, a beast king level 1, a humanoid-type magical beast, generally extremely powerful. Dalu was surprised that Xingyu could recognize her true form, but even though Xingyu could see through her, he couldn't do anything, not having enough strength to fight back. Just as Dalu was about to finish him off decisively, Xingyu tried to call for her to wait. He could see that she had been injured by the Dragon Clan and would die in about half an hour. Dalu wondered how he knew this. She was about to say something more when she suddenly coughed. Perhaps her wound was acting up. Xingyu quickly found an opening. He raised the back of his hand with a glowing mark. Dalu was dazzled and had to cover her eyes. Xingyu seized the opportunity to quickly escape. Now he answered Dalu's earlier question. After all, he already knew she was a nine-tailed spirit fox, so it wasn't difficult to see that she was injured. Although he was still very curious about this, looking at Dalu's near-death state, he decided to temporarily let it go. Xingyu proposed saving Dalu. However, Dalu, looking at his low-level beast tamer status, didn't trust him much. She emphasized that because the wound on her body was created by a pure-blooded dragon clan, even the best doctor couldn't guarantee a cure. Yet Xingyu still insisted he could save her. But he would only do this with one prerequisite condition. Dalu had to sign a blood contract with him. He didn't want her to kill him after he healed her. Outside, it was still raining heavily. After hearing Xingyu's condition, Dalu angrily exposed his plot to turn her into his taming beast. However, he wasn't afraid at all and freely admitted it. Dalu immediately became furious and wanted to strike. Indeed, she rushed at Xingyu to finish him off. Although Xingyu was being choked, he still boldly challenged her that even if he died, Dalu would die with him. Dalu valued her life greatly, so she had some hesitation about Xingyu's condition, but she really didn't want to become his taming beast. Suddenly, her body slightly trembled. Dalu shakily tried to support herself. Xingyu knew that the dragon's power had deeply penetrated her body, so she had to sign the blood contract. Dalu, only because she still had a mission to complete, was determined not to allow herself to collapse. She loosened her hand that was choking Xingyu. Then she accepted submission to him. Xingyu quickly bit off the tip of his finger. Blood flowed continuously from the wound. He touched his bloody fingertip to Dalu's forehead and declared that she was officially his taming beast. After the contract was signed, Dalu immediately demanded treatment for her wound. Xingyu, while taking off his shirt, agreed to her, but this action made Dalu blush and panic, wondering why he was doing this. Xingyu held a knife in his hand and seriously expressed his desire to treat her wound, so he took off his clothes to make it easier to stab the knife into his chest to draw blood. Then Xingyu pointed to the wound and ordered Dalu to quickly drink his blood. Dalu covered her face in embarrassment and refused, saying she couldn't do this. Xingyu, on the other hand, seriously explained that using the blood from his heart to treat her would be very effective. Finally, Dalu had to accept and bow her head to drink the blood. She embarrassedly licked the blood wound on his chest. After drinking the blood, she could feel her heart meridian now being enveloped by power, making her feel extremely comfortable. After completing the process, Xingyu now had time to ask Dalu's name. Dalu was also ready to tell him her name. Afterwards, she took the opportunity to ask Xingyu something that she had always been curious about. How could he know that she had been injured by the Dragon Clan? Xingyu speculated that Dalu had a connection to the extinct Dragon Clan, so she would certainly know many things, including his current situation. Xingyu honestly told the truth that 2 months ago, he had been exposed to Dragon Clan blood in his eye. Since then, his eyes could see all the information of taming beasts through a system panel. Thanks to that, he had been able to know the extent of the influence from Dalu's wound caused by the Dragon Clan. Upon hearing this, Dalu immediately thought of the legendary demon god eye. According to her knowledge, this eye could see all the information of magical beasts, so it was understandable that Xingyu mistook it for a system. But only the Dragon Clan demon gods could inherit the demon god eye, yet Xingyu was clearly a human, so why did he have it? Dalu silently looked straight at Xingyu, suspecting his identity. Finally, after consideration, she decided to ignore this matter. After all, she had already submitted to Xingyu, and having this eye might not necessarily be a bad thing. Dalu could only tell Xingyu that he had been lucky. She also explained to him that this was the legendary demon god Eye, not any system, but Xingyu still thought it was a system. Dalu was at a loss for words. She advised Xingyu not to delude himself because the magical beast information panel he saw was simply due to the power of the demon god Eye. Xingyu was half believing, half doubting because previously he had heard it speak, not just display information. He recalled that before, this Eye had told him to pick up that crystal core, and it had clearly stated the use of the crystal. Even during the King Lan Academy exam, when Xingyu was tightly holding his wrist with the mark, he had indeed let Hai Feng swallow that crystal core. Just as the Eye had said, after Hai Feng swallowed it, it directly transformed into Dug Feng Lang, thanks to which he had successfully passed the school's test. Xingyu was also looking forward to hearing the Eye speak again. Outside the cave, Cheyenne was sniffing around, searching for this place. It hid outside, observing the two people inside. Then it suddenly flew in to attack the two. Dalu was startled and quickly woke Xingyu from his memories. Xingyu and Dalu were face to face with a Yan Shai right at the cave entrance. Its entire body was covered in red flames, and its footsteps left traces of magma. Dalu confirmed that it was this creature that had caused her to fall down the cliff. It cornered both of them into a corner. Xingyu basically didn't expect it to follow them so persistently. It rushed in with great speed. Fortunately, both of them jumped high to avoid it. Although they dodged in time, he was still hit by the sparks from its body. The Yan Shi was extremely fierce, baring its fangs and roaring. Seeing this situation made him suddenly panic. This time, things didn't look good. But suddenly, the fire on its body dispersed, leaving only a few purple light streaks shining all over its body. Xingyu's face froze, not understanding what was happening. Dalu was behind, in a crawling position on the ground, using a tail beast bullet to attack it. She was angry that just a small injury could allow this thing to threaten her. It aggressively extended its claws, pouncing toward her. All that could be seen was dust flying everywhere, obscuring the chaotic battle. Dalu had been restrained on the ground by it and could only use her two hands to resist. She had wanted to go easy on it, but she hadn't expected it to be so disrespectful, so she wouldn't hold back anymore. She widened her eyes, and a red shockwave spread out. Suddenly, a giant bloodshot eye appeared behind her back, staring at it. She activated the Heaven Destruction Eye, a pressure enveloping the space. In the blink of an eye, the Yan Shi had turned to stone, with only a few remaining embers on Dalu's body. After looking at her carefully for a while and confirming she was unharmed, Xingyu breathed a sigh of relief. Although they were temporarily safe, he felt something wasn't right with his body. Xingyu collapsed, everything before his eyes gradually blurred, with only the faint sound of her calling his name. Sheng Long floated in the sea of consciousness, having waited a long time for the moment he would awaken. Sheng Long opened his bright red eyes, staring at him. He had just woken up in a strange place, confused about whose voice had just called him. Seeing the unfamiliar surroundings and the strange dragon before his eyes, he vaguely asked where he was and who he was. Sheng Long was a bit displeased, scolding that he was the one who helped his taming beast, but he had forgotten. Xingyu excitedly stood up, curious about his background and why he had guided him to find the crystal to awaken. Sheng Long's answer was also very vague because he basically didn't know who he was, only that he was awakened by the power of bloodline. Xingyu thought for a moment and guessed it was because of that time he was cut by dragon blood. Sheng Long didn't think that much about it. He just wanted to help him become the supreme glory. He found it amusing and questioned how he could help him. Sheng Long immediately brought up a control panel before Xingyu's eyes. He had previously told him about his abilities, and now he realized that at that time, he had mistakenly thought it was due to his intervention. Then there was a heartfelt conversation between the two. He wanted to make a deal with him. He had the ability to see through all the information of taming beasts. As long as he summoned him, he would appear. Following him would certainly not be wrong. He was still hesitant, not knowing what Sheng Long's purpose was. Sheng Long simply wanted to retrieve his memories. Only when Xingyu's power increased could he communicate consciousness with him. At this point, he remembered to look around, wanting to know why he was here and where this place was. Sheng Long slowly explained that this was the space of consciousness. Because he was unconscious, the two could meet. He couldn't believe he had been unconscious. Now he should wake up. He led him out of the consciousness sea, assuring him that he would always be by his side. Opening his eyes once more, Xingyu was already in the hospital. He was confused, not understanding why he was here when he had been in the cave before. Ru Yan and Kai Nian both confirmed in unison, asking if he was truly conscious. He quickly reassured them to lessen their worry. Xingyu's body was still trembling. He asked Ru Yan how he had gotten back here from the cave. She recounted how the rescue team had come to save him while he was unconscious, but suddenly her face hardened slightly. She also wanted to ask if he knew what had happened because when the rescue team arrived, it wasn't just him, but also the corpse of a Yan Shi not far away. Xingyu, though worried inside, still tried to appear natural. He used the excuse that he was unconscious and of a rather low rank, so how could he have defeated a Yan Shi to avoid her suspicion? Ru Yan's face hardened as she suspected she was overthinking. Ru Yan suddenly raised her voice, assuring him that there would be a satisfactory explanation for today's incident. He could only laugh perfunctorily and thank her. Additionally, she announced good news for him about this trial. Both Xingyu and Tang Tang received S+ grades, breaking the record, so she hoped he could rest assured and prepare for the next exam. As soon as Kai Nian and Ru Yan turned away, the badge on his hand began to glow. As soon as Dolu appeared, he realized she had been right beside him all along and hadn't gone far. Dolu leaned against the headboard, scolding him for being overconfident, giving her blood from his heart while injured, which led to his unconsciousness. She told him about the incident at that time. Because she didn't want humans to discover her, she had temporarily hidden away. She didn't quite believe that his fall from the cliff was just an accident. Xingyu remembered Wang Yan hiding in the bushes at that time. Thinking of his malicious smile made his blood boil, and he assured himself that this time he wouldn't let it go. In Wang Yan's study, he was sitting on a chair, focusing on something. Suddenly, his face turned pale. He raised his phone high, calling out to his father in distress. Dongsheng slammed the glass down on the table, unhappily scolding him for being disrespectful, but he just wanted him to see the bad news he had just discovered. Wang Yan showed him an article about Xingyu from the day before. He was panicked that he was still alive. He worried to his father, fearing that Xingyu would return for revenge, especially since he had a guild backing him. His father reassured his son not to be so anxious because it wasn't related to them. Wang Yan was still very worried, hesitating continuously. Dongsheng was confident that Xingyu couldn't do anything to them because there was no evidence at all. Wang Yan was also anxious to know what his father wanted to do next. He searched for something in the cabinet, with high murderous intent in his words. He took out a box with a red skull. Since they had already gone this far, he wanted to see it through. Dongsheng threw the box to Wang Yan, wanting him to go kill Xingyu. The scene changes to Xingyu's family apartment. While resting on the bed, he received a call. He wasn't sure why Shengyu would call at this hour. As soon as he answered, he heard his voice, both crying and rejoicing that he was still alive, and not only that but had also ranked first in the competition. He also expressed his admiration for him and wanted to teach those who harmed him a lesson. In the past few days, not a few people had inquired about him, and not a few had cried for him, making him feel very happy because he always had people who loved him. Shengyu was very enthusiastic in informing him that the new student ranking competition had been postponed to wait for him, not forgetting to sing a song about eternal friendship for him to hear. He thought he had misheard and asked him to wait a moment. Xingyu couldn't believe it and had to ask again. Shengyu quickly told him that the news of his disappearance had gone viral. The school had activated an emergency protocol, and everything had been postponed just to find him. This new student ranking competition was held once a year. The rules were very simple. Students were divided into groups, then drew lots to compete. Through various rounds, the 10 strongest would be selected, and there would be 3 strongest among them. Shengyu was extremely excited and looking forward to this exam because it was a battle that bet on the future, so he was very eager. He didn't forget to remind him to arrive on time for the exam. He also hung up, telling him to rest early. The phone screen reflected Xingyu's determined face, needing to achieve a high rank to enjoy the best resources and training at school. For example, for a taming beast to use skills well, the tamer must have enough spiritual power to transmit to it. And the higher the rank of the taming beast, the more spiritual power it would consume from the tamer. So if he could get good support this time, he could quickly enhance his spiritual power to avoid having it all drained and falling unconscious. His current enemies were quite strong, making him somewhat cautious. Now he could only rely on the new path to hopefully defeat the father-son duo of Wang Yan. But before that, he had another concern. He fell back on the bed, tossing and turning, not knowing how to increase his spiritual power enough for Dalu. Xingyu remembered Sheng Long and sank into his consciousness sea to ask. He fell into an indefinite space where eyes were staring at him. Then, with a flash, he was enlightened in his subconscious. Sheng Long's large eyes were wide open, looking at him. He guessed that this time, he wanted to take a shortcut. Xingyu embarrassedly scratched his head when his innermost thoughts were revealed. With him here being so convenient, he was a bit reliant. Sheng Long didn't mind letting him use him as long as he helped him recover his memories. Xingyu was very righteous, saying he would fulfill what he had promised him. Suddenly, a system panel appeared before him. Sheng Long was a bit concerned that he had to deeply meditate to talk to him, so he was trying to perfect the control panel. In that control panel, there was a store category. He instructed him that if he wanted to buy anything necessary, he just needed to go there. But he was also afraid he would become lazy about his work, so he had established a rule. If he wanted to buy items in the cart, he had to complete the missions he assigned. Hearing this, he was extremely excited. Xingyu clicked on a dragon spirit pill. This dragon spirit pill would increase spiritual power tenfold, but only for 5 minutes, after which there would be a backlash. He reminded him that this was the most necessary yet most harmful, so he must be careful. He gave him this spiritual pill. Sheng Long instructed him not to seek him out unless there was something serious because he needed to rest. Xingyu saw that it was time, so he bid him farewell and returned. Watching Xingyu's back gradually leaving, Sheng Long wondered if he could place his trust in him. The scene changes to the family apartment. Xingyu hurriedly said goodbye to his sister to go to school. Ruo Xu came out to instruct him to take care of his health. Shui Meng also reminded him to protect himself. He leisurely walked through the neighborhood, looking forward to seeing Shengyu again. Suddenly, he saw a paper on a utility pole and couldn't believe what he read. It was a wanted poster for Dalu with the charge of theft, and the reward was 3 billion. On a fresh early morning in a secluded alley, Xingyu was very angry, criticizing Dalu for daring to deceive him. He held the wanted poster up to her face, blaming her for being wanted without telling him. She didn't see her fault because he hadn't asked. Xingyu pointed to the wanted poster, feeling indignant that such a major issue as the Empress issuing a wanted order wasn't proactively mentioned to him. She used an indifferent attitude, telling him if he regretted signing the blood contract, he could just sell her for the reward. Suddenly, his tone became serious. He expressed his true thoughts to her, hoping she would trust him and not hide things. Although she appeared indifferent on the surface, her heart had already been moved. Dalu took a deep breath, raised her face, and determinedly said one word, "All right." Dalu took out a purple stone, telling him it was because of this item that Shang Quanlan had placed such a high bounty on her. Xingyu looked at the purple stone glowing in her hand, and was vague about what it was. She then revealed that it was the highest treasure of the Dragon Clan. The shimmering purple thing, intricately carved, was dragon tears. According to legend, the pure-blooded Dragon Clan had 3 supreme treasures: the reverse-scale sword, the Dragon King's beard, and dragon tears. The reverse-scale sword and the Dragon King's beard had the ability to unleash destructive attacks. According to her knowledge, dragon tears were completely different. They had no offensive properties but were made from the tears of 10,000 pure-blooded giant dragons. He gaped in disbelief when he heard her say that activating its power could reverse time and return to the past. Xingyu also remembered Sheng Long and probed her, asking if the dragon species had become extinct 3,000 years ago, yet there had been recent interactions. Dalu put away the dragon tears. Suddenly, his face darkened again. He was curious and wanted her to tell him the truth about the Great Dragon War back then. This seemed to be something she didn't know either. As they were discussing, someone called him. Dalu quickly hid in the taming beast badge. It was Yang Shu and Tang Tang approaching. Yang Shu cordially asked why he was here, thinking he had seen wrong. He mocked him, saying he should be careful or he would really die next time. Tang Tang glanced at her brother, knowing that although his words were harsh, he was very concerned about Xingyu. His face was cold as he scolded, saying that because he had fallen off the cliff, Tang Tang had refused to eat. At that time, she was in her room, ignoring Yang Shu's calls to come eat until his voice went hoarse. It wasn't until news about him being found was broadcast that she happily ate several more bowls that day. The more he spoke, the more embarrassed Tang Tang became, so she could only cover his mouth, with only unclear sounds coming out. Roughly translated, he wanted him to be more careful, or his sister would stop eating again. Xingyu laughed helplessly, only able to promise to put his mind at ease. He quickly urged everyone to go to the exam venue. Yang Shu glared fiercely, disassociating himself from him. He was still blaming him for being inconsiderate in stealing his prey, saying they hadn't settled the score yet. Xingyu was at a loss with him, so he remained silent to let it pass. Tang Tang could only push her brother ahead, both leaving him standing there bewildered. Xingyu frowned, not understanding why these two suddenly came to initiate a conversation. The opening ceremony of the final competition finally took place, with a fireworks display stretching across the sky. The atmosphere in the arena was extremely fervent. Yang Su enthusiastically greeted the whole school in the morning. He was extremely excited to announce that the competition was about to begin, calling for all contestants to quickly draw lots for their competition numbers. The drawing process was also very fair and just, with many contestants lining up waiting for their turn. Wang Yan, standing in the sea of people, saw Xingyu and only then believed he had safely returned. His entire body was filled with murderous intent. With the box his father had given him, He was determined to make him leave and never return. When it was his turn to draw, everyone moved aside to make way. Two friends standing outside, seeing him, couldn't help but despise him, saying he only relied on his father to harass female students but had been defeated by Xingyu last time, feeling he was the disgrace of the school. Wang Yan tried to suppress his anger until veins popped up on his face. He swore by all he had suffered. As he drew the lot, he laughed maliciously, wanting to return everything to him today. As if predetermined, the paper drawn had the names Wang Yan and Xingyu.